New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And good morning, dear ones. Reverend Robert with you here on a Saturday morning. It's time for our Saturday morning Science of Mind and Spirit lecture series. Happens every week here at 9 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone. So I thank you for being with us. And please do take a quick, brief second here and hit that share button if you would as well. Let your friends, let your neighbors know we're hanging out here together, and they're more than welcome to come join us for the conversation. Okay. A couple of things as we dive in, as we start getting warmed up here this morning. Number one, whiz bang wow. Thanks, a big, huge thanks to Dr. Tracy Brown for her amazing chat and talk last night. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty with something on the Facebook side there. Sorry about that. So Tracy, what a great talk last week. We're going where no one has gone before. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, I really encourage you to go back and take a look at it. It's in the archives on both Facebook and YouTube. Today, I'm here to talk about To Infinity and Beyond. But before we get there, I just want to remind everybody that we've been working this whole year from the Science of Mind textbook. And the intention is to utilize this textbook in a way to help us understand the philosophy that is the science of mind. Now, what I love is we're the New Thought Media Network. We're not the Science of Mind Media Network, right? So we have that ability and that opportunity to take things into other places a little bit. And our intention on Saturdays has been to stay with the book, the Science of Mind textbook, if you will. Well, I'm doing that and a little bit more. So as we continue through the remainder of this year, we will continue to explore life and different parts of that in a way that relate to the Science of Mind philosophy, but that allow us to go into different places. And that's what has been happening here lately, and it's going to continue to happen here. And I'll share with you a little later that we've got some, keep getting a couple little distractions here. That we do have someone new joining the lecture team, and I'll tell you about that a little later. So, all right, this week, To Infinity and Beyond. Now, if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to chime those in and drop those into the chat box, and we will have a chance for question and answer specifically a little bit later on in our broadcast. So, To Infinity and Beyond. Those that know me know I love definitions and I love playing with words. So, the definition of infinity: unlimited extent of time, space, or quantity. An indefinite great number or amount. And I like some of the synonyms too. Eternity, everlasting, perpetuity. These are words that we use in this philosophy to attempt, not always accurately, but attempt to define and describe the infinite, the divine, God. We use all these words. So If you're not familiar with the phrase "to infinity and beyond," I really do wish that I was the guy that had invented this or came up with this, but I wasn't. Buzz Lightyear is the man that invented "to infinity and beyond." Yes. And I will, and what we want to talk about a little bit today is Buzz Lightyear. I have my own little Buzz Lightyear here with me. He never goes very far. He sits back on my shelf, actually, and has become one of my little icons of the divine. I love my Buzz Lightyear because Buzz had that ability to look beyond what it was, what was right in front of our faces. So Ernest Holmes defines the infinite, and this is also from the textbook, that which is beyond human comprehension. The infinite is God. What is beyond human comprehension. So now, and if we really want to boil it down, to infinity, limitless, beyond possibilities. So we can boil all of this down. This whole talk is about the infinite or limitless possibilities. And in every moment of every experience of our lives, we have this ability to choose. You've heard this before. We have free will. We have the freedom of choice, not to choose what it is we experience, right? If I could choose exactly what I experience, I would probably hit the lottery every week. Right? Or at least as often enough as you need it. So we don't necessarily have the choice of what happens around us and in the world, but we definitely have a choice of how we respond to that experience. This is big. Also from the Science of Mind to kind of get us into this. This is on page 31. If you're following along in a different book, it's within the chapter, The Thing Itself, and it's in the section, The Road to Freedom is Not Mysterious. It's down near the bottom of that section. And what Holmes writes is, no one has ever plumbed the depths. No one has ever plumbed the depths of either the conscious or the subjective life. In both directions, we reach out to infinity. And since we cannot encompass infinity, we shall always be expanding and always enlarging our capacity to know and to experience. Always enlarging and expanding our capacity to know and experience the infinite. That which is beyond limits. That is which is beyond our knowing. That is which is beyond our comprehension. And the beauty of it is, based on those choices we make in those moments, well, that's what takes us beyond. That's what takes us to the possibilities. The endless, the limitless possibilities. Now, this may sound like fairly basic stuff for most metaphysicians. If you're new here and this is feeling like pretty wow stuff, cool. Again, feel free to ask questions in the comments. So here comes this character in this show. And I want to be straight up, right? I didn't know about Buzz Lightyear. Buzz came out in 2005. I'm sorry, 1995. Sorry. Well before I had children. And so I wasn't familiar with Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear and all that stuff until much later, after I had kids. And then as a family, we start watching family movies, and I hadn't watched animated films in years. I want to tell you, I'm super excited because next June, Pixar is releasing a movie called Lightyear, and it's going to be Buzz's backstory. And they're going to tell the story of Buzz's travels through space that gave him all the experiences he had prior to ending up in the toy box with the rest of the toys or in Toy Story and in that whole series. So Buzz absolutely represents the limitless possibilities that are out there for us. Because it doesn't matter where we put this guy, he's going to find a way out. Something's going to happen. Somehow it's going to work. And part of it all is because he suspends his own disbelief in what it is he's being asked to do. When he needs to prove that he can fly, he suspends his own disbelief. And even though he can't, somehow he does. It always is working out. Now, the beauty of a movie and of Toy Story and Buzz Lightyear is we have an hour and a half to fit the whole story in, and we all know it's pretty much going to work itself out by the end. And we know that ending is only 90 minutes away. We know that ending is rather soon. And it's easy to embrace the infinite possibilities when I know that I'll have resolution today, tomorrow. But sometimes that's not how it goes. Sometimes it takes years to find that resolution. Sometimes it takes decades. Now, in picking and choosing today's topic, I was not blind to the fact of what today represents, what those numbers going across the bottom of that screen represent. Represents 20 years, 2 decades. My wife, Lara, and I were talking, and she shared that our youngest, who was still in middle school, had a project to come home and ask at least one or both of their parents where they were that morning. And I'll tell you, I remember where I was. I remember very clearly what happened, what was supposed to happen that day, what the plans were for that day, where we thought everything was taking us in the world. And I also remember that I was very, very new to the science of mind. So new, in fact, that I was in my second class of foundations. Well, we had one class. And we went to class that week, Tuesday night, I believe it was. And we went to class that night. And a whole bunch of people, 30, 35 people or whatever, piled into a room. And we looked at the minister. And we said, go ahead. Explain that. And I felt to myself, this is why we have spiritual community. For events and occasions such as that. Now, yes, there's all the greatness of Sunday celebrations and potlucks and sharing and experiences and going out in the world together and serving and doing this and doing that and all these things. But when it really comes down to it, I believe the measure of our own spiritual life and the philosophy that we rested upon proves itself in the horrific times, in the dark times. 20 years ago today, I didn't know enough to feel that I was truly at choice about what was going to happen in my life, about what was going to happen for my family. We didn't have children yet. We were dating. We weren't even married. What's going to happen in the restaurant, in the business that I'm attempting to build for my girlfriend, hoping she might be my wife. Glad she's my wife. Now what I recognize is it isn't the choice of how we look at what happened. It's the choice of how we determine what happened and how we're going to use that to move us beyond. Let's face it, when the towers came down, that was an act of the infinite. No, it was beyond human comprehension. Nobody could have seen that coming. Even with the bombing years earlier in 93, we could not have seen this. No one, or so we believe. Unless it was an inside job and the whole thing was pulled, but that's a talk for another day. The towers represented a time, well, that needed to be shifted. And it began, and it did. And that day set forth a 20-year, up to today, a whole new way of looking and living and being in the world. After 20 years, Afghanistan is a free country again and no longer has an occupying force. After 20 years, my kids are growing into amazing beings. After 20 years, a ministry has emerged through me, through countless other people that I've known. See, what it was that day in that class, that minister, what he shared with us was that we have to be willing to look for the collateral good that happens in these events. Now, he said, and he was very clear with us, sometimes it may take a long time. And he actually even said it could take 20 years or more before we can find the collateral good that has emerged or is in the process of emerging in our lives. For me, that collateral good is my family. It forced me. It drove me even deeper into this philosophy, into this movement. It gave me a deeper commitment to not just be trying to make my life rich and famous, but to support those around me in a different way, to support all of those that I'm connected with and that I get to share with in a different way. I know if you were alive and you're watching this broadcast, if you were alive that day, your life was changed. You didn't have choice of that. You didn't have a choice about that. But what you did have a choice about was what you want, what you're doing with that. How have you used that event? Now, it doesn't have to be direct. It doesn't, you don't have to go out and build a memorial, although that's not a bad thing if you like. I tried to find a number of 9/11 memorials across the United States. I can't find a definitive number. Countless communities around this country have various types and styles of memorials. In New Jersey, there is the famous teardrop that was gifted to the United States by a Russian artist. 10 stories. All across this country, there are large and small memorials of all types. It's hard to not hear stories lately about the memorial in New York, and I want to experience that, because what it sounded like to me was I heard a critical story of how hard it would be to evacuate that memorial in the event of an emergency. Maybe I don't want to visit. The choice we get to make, truly, is in which direction we wish to plumb the depths of the conscious or the subjective. Do we wish to just be in the consciousness of saying, okay, we're healing this and I'm going to do my prayer work and that's cool? We're going to be in the place of going out in the streets and, I don't know, building another memorial, building a system to support at-risk youth in this country that are at risk because of their ethnic background or heritage. Your work and my work are always going to be different, but what I think we are called to, and this is something I have heard for so long now, aligned with the infinite. Aligned with the infinite. That which is beyond human comprehension. Aligned with God. To be aligned with this infinite power and presence and intelligence. to be aligned with the flow of compassion and love, of creation rather than destruction, of building up rather than tearing down, of looking towards the vision rather than critical of what got us to where we are. You know, we all make mistakes. Organizations make mistakes. People make mistakes. Some people have nefarious intent that they hide and take to their grave with them. And you know what? None of that really matters, because it's what I choose about that. It's what I choose for my life to be in this world. And I choose to find a way to serve others, those around me. You don't necessarily have to. Nobody's here saying you must be in service X number of hours per day. No. Do what your heart calls. Do what you are called to do. Whatever that might be. Just make sure it lines up with the infinite. Just be in alignment with the divine. In alignment with the good, in alignment with the giving, in alignment with the love and the light and the beauty and the truth and the compassion and the health and the wealth and the well-being and all that God is. As we remember this day, I implore you to remember that we must go beyond. We must go beyond the memorials. We must go beyond the remembrance broadcast. We must go beyond the interview series. And my vision is in the 10 years hence. Remember, sometimes you got to wait decades to see the collateral good. And my desire is that in 10 years hence, we will not be memorializing the horror, or rather celebrating the growth, celebrating the good that has emerged over these decades. This past week, I had the wonderful experience to be on a working retreat, let's call it that. And if you've been watching the network a little bit, you might know some of this. I was up in Big Sky, Montana, at one of the longest running metaphysical retreats in the country, the Big Sky Retreat, and rubbing elbows and sharing lunch and conversations and workshops and inspiration with some great New Thought leaders and people of all aspects of this philosophy. Ministers, practitioners, laity folk, member folk. And I don't remember who told the story, but I love the story, because the story was a family process where on a weekly basis, and they did this on Sunday at dinner, you can do it anytime you want, that family would come together and they would share anything they wanted that was impactful, that was important. Not just, oh, my soccer team won, or, oh, not the obvious. Not the stuff that a family generally will know about it, each other. Oh, you had a choir concert and this happened for you and you got a bonus at work. But the stuff that maybe is under a little around the edges that we don't always see about our families and each other. And to bring that to the conversation. And then no matter what it was, the rest of the family is required to celebrate that. So if one of the kids broke up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they celebrated that. If someone got a traffic ticket, they celebrated that. If someone, had a fender bender, they celebrated that. If someone, just saw a piece of a beautiful sunset that they on their own, they celebrated that. And they began a ritual amongst themselves to be able to look for the good in even the little things. Now you can do that. You don't need me to do that. You don't need a playbook. You don't need a process. You don't need a workshop to do that. You don't even need to wait till Sunday. You can do that today. Find the good that is emerged in your life over the last year, over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years. And let's celebrate that. That, I believe, and please feel free to comment and correct me if you'd like, if you think I'm wrong, but I think that is in many ways the essence of the science of mind. To be able to recognize that we have the ability to choose our response to whatever stimuli is happening in our lives and use those choices to create a life we truly desire. A life of love and light and beauty and truth and health and wealth and well-being and abundance and compassion and service. In tune with the infinite and beyond. See, we want to remember, if the infinite is truly incomprehensible, if it is so beyond our human comprehension, then it goes on and on. And as long as I continue to grow, as long as I continue to learn, then I'm going beyond. And I'm going beyond. And I'm going beyond. And I'm going to keep going beyond. You've heard me say this numerous times. We don't die because the body runs out of energy, power. We begin to die when we stop learning, when we believe there's nothing more to learn. It's another aspect of this retreat this past week. It was the ability to get away from the being the authority, get away from doing the work, get away from all the stuff, and open up and listen a bit deeper for where the divine, where I can learn, where I can go deeper into this philosophy. And I've done lots of work comparing philosophies to this one and contrast, and how does this line up here and not how does that line up there. But ultimately what I have found for me, for my path, is to keep diving deeper and deeper into the science of mind, to keep going deeper beyond my personal current perception, my current limitation of demonstration. It's not a bad thing. It's not an accusation for anybody that feels like, hey, maybe that you're feeling a little stuck, or is this really, or maybe I should go study that instead of this. Or if all roads lead to the divine, which I believe they do, with 7 billion different people on this planet, and more, I also believe there's 7 billion plus ways to get to God. And that means your way, whatever that is absolutely perfect. Your way of reaching the infinite is absolutely perfect. And then you must go beyond and continue to hold that sacred, to expand that, to double up. I remember, I don't know if this is a true quote or not. It's a paraphrase somewhere. It's attributed to Gandhi. And basically it says that when I know it's going to, I meditate for an hour a day, unless it's a very, very busy day with an awful lot to do. And then I meditate for 4. And that is part of, I believe, the good that emerges when the planet goes through these experiences, is we are provided more time to be in our practice. Now, I don't want to go down the road of aligning 9/11 with what the world's just gone through in the last year and a half, because they're very different tragedies. They're very different experiences. There's infinite number of different opportunities to choose. And yet we know there must be a parallel here. The principles that worked on 9/11 to get us through, to get me through, are still working today, and they are still what worked to get us through this pandemic, and are getting us to continue to get through this pandemic. Remember, please wear your masks, wash your hands, and keep your distance. It's not hard. So to infinity and beyond can be a rally cry for life, for your life. And what I know is when we truly are committed to aligning ourselves with the divine, then the divine must rise up and respond in alignment, in collaboration, in co-creation with ourselves and God and the divine, the infinite. When I think of what this philosophy, the science of mind and spirit, has given me over the last 20 years, it is truly infinite. And if I consider the vision of where this philosophy is taking me in the next 20 years, it is beyond imagination. It is beyond my wildest dreams. It is beyond all the human stuff. Because when you reach out for the infinite reaches back. And when you've been in a 20-year relationship with the infinite, it's a pretty cool thing. It's a pretty cool thing because there's nowhere we can't go. It becomes a life with no limitations, where everything's working in concert to bring forth the glorious dream that is here for your life. So I'd like to open this up for some questions. If there are any, please drop them into the comment box and let us know. What are you thinking? Where's your infinite? Where do you want to go beyond? What's been the gift you've been given in the last 20 years? What's the gift that you see coming in the next 20? Share with us in the comments. And if you're watching this as a rebroadcast at a later time, please don't let that stop you. Comment in the comments. I'll see them. I'll respond. We love chatting in the comments and responding to people. It might take a day, might take an hour or a couple for us to get back to you, but we do everything we can to make sure we get back to you if you have a question. So leave those in the comments, and while I give you a little time to think of that, I'd also like to give you a call this week. See, this is that time of the year, 9/11, school's back in for pretty much everybody. This is that time where often people start to look at what is beyond this current year. What is beyond 2021? What will 2022 hold? The new Buzz Lightyear movie, I know that for sure. June 17th, 2022, release date scheduled. We'll see if that happens or not. Maybe we'll have a watch party. Anyway, what do you want to be doing in 2022? What do you want to bring into the world? What I know is, as long as it's aligned with the infinite, there's really nothing that can stop you. Get together a group of committed individuals that are ready to bring a vision into the world, and there is nothing that can hinder that vision from coming into form. Pretty cool, huh? I'm not seeing any questions come in today, so that's okay. I trust that this has been a beneficial and uplifting and inspiring conversation, exploration to infinity and beyond. I do feel a prayer coming within me, and so we will get there. Roy joining in. My infinite is the realization that I am eternal, and that my brother that I lost to COVID is eternal too, and that I may see him again. You will. To know he is in the care of a loving God. Yes, Roy. Roy, you've been with us pretty much every Saturday all summer, all year long. And I know it's been a tough year. Exactly because of that. And I remember the questions you were asking at the beginning of the year. Congratulations, sir. It would seem to me that you are you're finding the usefulness in this philosophy. To come to that place to recognize, yes, life is eternal. And you and your brother are forever connected at the level of the soul. And in that regard, you always and forever have access to a form of communication with the divine, with the infinite, and therefore with him, and he with you, even if he has gone beyond the pronouns. Appreciate you being with us, Roy, each and every week. So I'm going to lift up a quick prayer here. I lift up a quick prayer of a blessing for what comes beyond this moment. We've come together today in this time, in this space, to come to recognize God, the oneness of life, the allness of everything, the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, the ending, the everything, and the no thing. The oneness that reveals itself as my life, as your life, as all life, perfectly. Whole, complete, nothing missing, nothing absent. What I know is this oneness is it pouring itself into creation, pouring itself into its creation, as my life, as your life, as the lives of everyone in your life, everyone you are touched by, everyone you are inspired by, everyone you may see or communicate with or work with, or in any way. Just keep reaching out. Just keep imagining one more layer out, someone out there that you are infinitely a connection with. For we are infinitely connected to the world, to everyone, beyond comprehension. No connection missing, no connection broken, other than by our own choice. All connections active. You may send out a signal, a message to anyone, anywhere, and trust and know that that is received. May not be listened to or paid attention to, but it is received. It must be. That is the divine working. That is the one working itself as our lives, expressing itself as our lives in infinite and creative and magnificent ways. Beyond what we know. Beyond what we may comprehend. And in the infinite, there is the promise. There is the deep, deep promise, bringing forth everything necessary to fulfill your mission on this planet, bringing forth everything necessary for you to fulfill the divine life that you are here to be, to express, to imagine and create. We see the vision emerging of a world that works for all, for everyone, in unique and crazy, sometimes awe-inspiring ways, sometimes just, whoa, what was that kind of ways. And it's still all God. Every action bringing forth a collateral good. In the direct, instant moment that we call karma, or in the long haul of decades. The good must emerge, must reveal itself. So I just stand witness to the glory that is the one revealing itself moment by moment by moment, in, as, and through all life. So I know that no matter what it is, I may not see the good, but I trust the good shall be seen. In this lifetime, throughout time. I celebrate life, its weirdnesses, its wackinesses. Wackinesses? I'm gonna look that word up. I celebrate the fun, the life. I celebrate it all because it's all God. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to answer this question today. Because I see this question, I see you ask this question, Wayne. What is next level for this space cadet? Wayne, I would tell you in a minute if I had a direct answer for you. But I'm not the one to do that. You are. And I think you know that. And I think you've heard something similar to that from many of our speakers here on Saturday mornings. The next level for everyone out there is exactly what we've been speaking about today. To reach out to the infinite. Allow ourselves to be aligned with that infinite. And then let the infinite take us beyond. And Wayne, I see you doing that day in and day out. I see you doing that on these programs. That's why I love your questions. And I love that one. Because you are doing it. You're going beyond every time you watch one of these programs. You're aligning yourself every time you sit in one of our prayer sessions. Every one of us, that is what we are doing. And it is divine. Oh, thank you. Thank you all for being with us here today. I am Reverend Robert. I'm so grateful you chose to tune in. Now, next week, we have something special coming up for you. That is the right Laura Topper, Rev to be, is going to be joining us as a special guest lecturer on this series. So she'll be with us next week, and the topic is bringing it all home. Please plan to be with us and the amazing Laura Topper next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, I'm Rev Robert. I'm going to get out of here for now. Please do join us again and again and again. You can check out all of our archives. Remember, no matter what, to infinity and beyond. That is our call. That is what we're doing. That is what we're about this week and in the coming weeks. So please keep coming back and keep joining us here on New Thought Media Network. All right, I'm going to get out of here for now. I love you. Until next time. Peace.